Thanks for joining us today at Joe's Quilting Studio, and today we are going to try and demystify tension. I'm Jessie and I'm the host. So tension is a balance, right? I make a little knot in my finger like this. This right here is the knot that your thread makes. So the idea of this is that knot is supposed to be somewhere in your batting sandwich. You don't want it to be at the bottom and you don't want it to be at the top. So how do we achieve that result? So the first thing that I do is I do my bobbin case, right? And this is pretty easy, and I know some people have a TOA gauge and they live and die by the number that the TOA gauge tells them, but let's be honest, you can fake the number. You can pull a little harder, you can pull a little softer, and you can make your TOA gauge read whatever you want. So this here is my test. I put my bobbin in like normal, and I put it in my little spring. I lay it flat in my hand. I do not cut my hand because that is holding that bobbin case in place. I lay my hand flat, and then I use my thread to raise up my bobbin, just like so. Now, if my bobbin falls down, my bobbin case falls down, my tension's too loose. If my bobbin case falls off my hand, or tries to lift up and climb up the thread, then my bobbin case is too tight and I make that adjustment. But here it is, guys. It's a little teeny tiny little screw. So I am under the, I'm not gonna say impression, but the way that I do it is I like my bobbin to be in what I call that sweet spot, right? That's where I like it. And once I have it in that spot, I can forget about it. Does it have to be adjusted for a thicker thread? Sure it does. Or a thinner thread? Of course. But I like it to be in that spot, okay? And it is a feel thing and you'll get used to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the machine because the rest of my tension all happens with this tension knob. Look, they gave you a little teeny tiny little screw here, but they gave you a big old knob right here. What do you think you're supposed to adjust your tension with? Probably the big knob, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and trim this here. Now, the way that this works is, if this is my bobbin tension and this is constant, meaning I have this in my sweet spot, here's my top thread right here. So if it pulls up and I can see that bobbin thread come all the way to the top, then what do you think my top thread is doing? It's too tight. That's how that works. Now, if my bobbin thread is still constant, but my top thread is coming down, what do you think it is then? It is too loose. So I'm always wanting my bobbin thread to be my constant, and I want to make adjustments based on what this top thread is doing. Too tight, too loose. And yes, after 15 years, I totally still do that finger thing. So I'm gonna come over here and I am going to give it a go. Now on all machines, your tension knob is the same. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. When we adjust our bobbin tension, we do little minute adjustments. So think of it like a clock, from 12 to 1 o'clock, from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, and so on. When I am adjusting my tension knob up here, I'm doing a little bit of a bigger movement. Usually I'm doing all the way from a quarter turn to a half turn, and sometimes a full turn. If I have to adjust my top thread and nothing has changed between two quilts, but I'm having to turn this knob like 3 times, your problem is not with your tension, your problem is somewhere in your threading. It is not, you're not gonna have to make those kind of adjustments every single time. So once I have my tension the way that I like it, I need to test it because there's no way to tell. Everything could feel great, but you still don't know. So all I'm gonna do is a needle down, needle up. I'm gonna pull up my bobbin thread because you always have to know where it's at. I'm gonna needle down again. And then I am just gonna press go and do a couple lines back and forth, okay? Now I'm trying to make those lines really tight, and then I drive the machine out of the way because I want to force these little curves. if I'm gonna get eyelashing, I am totally gonna get some eyelashing on those curves. So up here, my top stitches really look good, but do the bottom of them do? By doing this tension check on my left-hand side like this, it allows me to flip this over and look and see my stitches. Now my stitches look good. Now look what happens when I loosen up this tension. And we're just doing this for teaching, right? So I'm gonna loosen this up quite a bit. So look at my finger right here. My bobbin stayed the same and I loosened this up. So what do you think's gonna happen? I'm going to see eyelashing on the back. I just did it 2 full turns, so we'll see how that works. So I'm gonna come back down. My stitches still look good on top. And I'm starting to see flat lining here. That means it's pulling that top thread to the back. Okay, so I'm gonna tighten it back up again. But let's exaggerate it now. So let's go to the right. Let's tighten that top thread and see what we get. And I did just tighten it a lot. Okay, now, do you notice how the top line that was going from right to left versus the line that's going from left to right looks different? We're starting to see some stitch inconsistency here, meaning it's hard to differentiate those stitches, and it looks a little bit of a different color. That's because that bobbin thread is starting to peek to the top. So all we're gonna do is, if that bobbin thread is peeking to the top, that means that top thread is pulling it a little bit too tight. So obviously, lefty-loosey, we're gonna back it off some. And we're gonna come back down. And now, this row looks the same as this row. My tension still looks great on the back, and we are good to go. And that's all it is, guys. It's just a balance. It's a balance. Keep something constant. That should always be your bobbin. Remember, it's a teeny tiny little screw. It's not made for you to constantly be adjusting it. The big old knob that they put on your machine with a big finger turn, that's what you need to adjust. Now you know.